Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Greenwave TV, alternative media television. I had a question from a subscriber yesterday. Say, hey Christopher, is this live? You bet your ass this is live, but we're still learning the Google tech, which they're constantly changing on us. So please let us know, how are you finding us? How do you find the live stream? I see that you're filling up the room as we speak. Let us know, that helps me out. Send me an email to info@amtvmedia.com. I'm going to start some kind of regular program where we do these live broadcasts. We're in the process of building out our small makeshift studio in the other room. Really appreciate all your support. Ton in the news, and we're working on a lot in post-production, literally as I deliver this live stream to you. I just put out a video titled World War III, Obama Prepares to Engage Syria. Now, I've done dozens and dozens of videos on Syria. I've done dozens and dozens of videos on Iran. So if you're a new subscriber, maybe you just joined the party that is AMTV a few days ago or a few weeks ago, please check our video archive. Search those terms. You can do it at our website, amtvmedia.com, or at our YouTube channel, cgreen34. But what Americans need to realize, and what the people of the world need to realize, is that Syria is very much a gateway to Iran. Now, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, president of Iran, has recently stepped down. They've sent over 4,000 troops from the Revolutionary Guard to aid, abet, and support their ally, Syria. Now, keep in mind, Bashar al-Assad, we've reported on this for the past several months, is living on a warship, fearing for his life, much like Muammar Gaddafi was not too long ago. Now, remember, President Barack Obama, using his executive power and privilege, bypassed Congress, the 1973 War Powers Resolution Act. Clearly, undoubtedly, unargumentatively, you can't argue this, liberal, Democrat, Republican, conservative, invaded Libya, armed the terrorists in his nation, in a completely independent, sovereign country. Imagine if the tables were turned here for a minute and Muammar Gaddafi was aiding and abetting domestic terrorists here in the United States for an overthrow of the American government. This is what President Barack Obama did in Libya. And of course, we've seen the images. We aired some of them, courtesy, I believe it was from Al Jazeera, the graphic images and the brutality of the death of Muammar Gaddafi that President Barack Obama is directly responsible for, and those that are in charge of him. That's the kind of brutality, that's the reality behind our government here in the States. That's just the truth. It isn't a pretty picture. It isn't a nonviolent picture. It's very much a government and a system built on war, built on violence, built on profit motive, and to a large extent, the blood money in the Middle East we all love to use and fill up our SUVs with, oil. Now, why is Iran so significant? Why is Iran the gateway, or why is Syria the gateway into Iran? Now, the reason for that, Syria itself really isn't a large oil producer in the grand scheme of things, but Iran is the third largest exporter of oil in the world. They have major reserves, major wealth in that part of the world, and it's one of the reasons that we've been engaged in Iraq, we've been engaged in Afghanistan, we were sold the lie and bullshit, the utter fabrication by George W. Bush that we had weapons of mass destruction. George Bush. Now he sheds tears. Now you get the, he paints. Wasn't his computer hacked or something? He's really upset about selling us lies of war and weapons of mass destruction. Probably feels pretty bad about blowing up the World Trade Center as well. Ooh, I know I stepped over the line there for some of you. Probably stepped over, oh, the truther business, Christopher. Who are you, Alex Jones and the crazy people? So, this is pretty interesting. But, yeah, weapons of mass destruction, I mean, that's not an opinion of mine. That was an utter lie. It was a complete fabrication. It was total bullshit sold to you, the American people, and you loved it. You loved it. Maybe not you. I realize you're informed. If you're tuned into my channel, you're tuned into AMTV, you know what's up. You know what's going on. You're not ignorant in the dark, consuming your daily pill or shot in the neck that the government's giving you. Like, here, take this, it'll be good for you. So Syria is very much a gateway into Iran, and the propaganda, take it from a guy that's been in the business of truth for some time now, the propaganda has really reached an enormous point. I honestly have never seen the rhetoric at this much of a fever pitch. So let me give you an example. Let me show this to you because, I like to create tangibility around what we're looking at here. So if I go to our screen share, you can see here that the Syria death toll, this came out yesterday. Major propaganda, in my opinion. Syria death toll, 100,000 killed in war since the civil war broke out, courtesy of the United States. So, if this is true, let's just take for a moment that this is the case. There is 100,000 people dead. Then we have the United States government to thank for that, because, of course, they're arming the terrorists. They're arming those that are attempting to overthrow Bashar al-Assad, to create the destabilization, to destroy the beautiful city of Aleppo and these other parts of the world. So, good job, United States. Good job. You guys did a great, wonderful engagement over there. So if it is true, then we should all be just pitchforking the White House right now. Am I wrong? We should all be pitchforking the White House. We've got our fire sticks out, and this could get kind of wild here in the United States because there's 100,000 people dead, 100,000 civilians, kind of a big deal. But it's being sold and manipulated to you as if it's a human rights issue, which it absolutely is. But they're gearing it as if it's Bashar al-Assad. It's the Syrian president that has implemented these war tactics of chemical warfare and sarin gas. Now, these reports have come out from multiple sources, like France, it accuses Syria of this, the United Kingdom, the United States. So they're gearing up for war, pitching you the human rights propaganda that, okay, well, there's people dying, so what we're going to do to stop the dying is go in there and kill even more people. You see, this is kind of like a circular reasoning that doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. To stop the killing, we're going to go kill people. So that's the mojo, and that's the great plan. But amidst all this, amidst war, amidst Syria, amidst Iran, what really matters, the truth, what literally I've been banging your head over the head with a brick over the past 3.5 years. Instead of focusing on that, the mainstream media wants to take a good hard look at the gay issue right now. So really going after the gay issue and DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, and how that's shot down by the Supreme Court. I'm not saying that those things aren't even good things. As a libertarian, I quite frankly don't care what you do. I don't think it's any of my business. I don't think it's the federal government's business. Hey, if you want to marry and have sexual relationship like Bill Clinton with your pet parakeet, imagine I got a little parakeet on my shoulder, that's your business. I really don't care. But again, this is about committing and putting up a smoke screen so that you get really entangled into the web of social issues and don't really understand what's happening, where the real sites are, what you should really be worried about and focused on, war. Not a war that's about to break out and begin, one that's already started. I use this example a lot, and for those of you that have tuned in through the years, for this example before, it took about a decade. It took 10 years before the American people woke up and actually acknowledged the fact that we were engaged in a war in Vietnam. Vietnam. It reminds me kind of the Forrest Gump film, when he's carrying out his buddy Bubba and saving a bunch of lives and explosions going off behind. I remember those special effects came out. It was pretty unbelievable. So it took 10 years. People think now, oh, we might be on the verge of something as we're watching global superpowers, Vladimir, ass kicker, I'll kill you if you don't do what I tell you. Not too dissimilar from President Barack Obama. He's positioning his country, which is a huge natural resource superpower, obviously has a very dominant influence among mainstream media, which I think is a really fantastic thing through Russia Today, at least giving us a little bit different angle than what we're just going to strictly get from Western media. Now, of course, all media in and of itself has an agenda, which is why you need to be cognizant and suspicious of all forms of media. I always encourage you to question all content, including our own. That's the point of being an investigative free thinker, of having a brain. But you see, with the integration of technology and the new world of the Google police state, this algorithm, I put out a documentary called Surveillance State. We entered into the Alex Jones InfoWars contest. We're still waiting to hear on that. It couldn't have been more perfect timing, really. Couldn't have been more perfect timing. I mean, I would really encourage you, if you haven't watched it, watch it, Surveillance State. It's awesome. I might make a full feature film of the thing. It's that good. I personally think one of the better pieces of work that we put together, something I'm really passionate about, but really got into the deeply ingrained world of how we're built into the system now. How this technology, like Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, said he thinks Snowden is a hero. He thinks the fact that these leaks came out and that he was willing to risk his life, and probably will be killed, by the way. I mean, I'm sure Obama picked up the phone immediately after if Snowden is actually a legit leaker and not directly involved with the CIA as a double agent or something like that. Himself put the hit out, like, hey Bob, yeah, put the hit, Snowden, done. Stuff happens all the time. I mean, Breitbart, Michael Hastings, that to me is the sad part, because with Michael Hastings, I don't really know if that was necessarily a smoke screen. That was mostly a cover-up. I've got a little report here of Hastings on my desk. Fantastic journalist. My heart goes out to the family. Really upset and saddening in a lot of respects. Just for me. I mean, for somebody that's again in the business of truth telling, a lot of admiration for the stories that Hastings broke. Really showing the world the truth. He was had a big influence over the stepping down of General McChrystal with his Rolling Stone piece, The Runaway General. McChrystal, of course, was replaced by the Benghazi scandal General Petraeus. A lot of this is more linked than you think. And quite frankly, I just have gut instincts around this. We have just touched the surface of how deep this rabbit hole really goes with this story. I mean, I still can't get it off my desk. A lot of the times I'll do the news, we'll put the videos out, and I'll be done with it. It's kind of like it runs its course. This one I can't get out of my head, though. I'm showing you here the Wikipedia of Hastings, just gives kind of a short biography of who he is, etc. This one is about the dirtiest, most suspicious story I've ever reported on outside of Andrew Breitbart. You can see here in the camera Michael Hastings. I would encourage you to keep digging on this. I certainly am. He was in contact with the same WikiLeaks lawyer that Julian Assange uses, the same WikiLeaks lawyer that Edward Snowden is using literally as we speak. And this is weird, too. I shot a video on this yesterday, and it pissed me off because it got all corrupted, and then I couldn't get it up and turned into a freaking disaster. And then I reshot it again, and the camera was on backwards or something. Just kind of a disaster yesterday on a few of the shoots that I was working on. But here we have Snowden, and I don't know if there's been any updates on this since, because I've been in post-production myself for about an hour. So drop it into the comment box. But what is the update with Snowden? Because yesterday he was supposedly at the Moscow airport. He was at a Moscow airport, and a couple political cartoons came out I thought were interesting. Said, hey, I will leak for food. Snowden will leak for food. He's considering asylum in Ecuador. He's trying to get out, Central America, any part of that part of the world, really. Might have to fly, through Cuba. It's crazy. I mean, think about it. Cuba, China, communist China's, offering their support. Vladimir Putin offering his support so Snowden can go anywhere he wants. So, it is clear that in the global geopolitical chess game of war, that the global superpowers are positioning themselves for a real life conflict, a real life war. People always, they always kind of like sit in their homes because we've got it so great in America now. I mean, it's so awesome where we live. It is. I mean, I love America. Of course, I'm probably the biggest patriotic guy you've ever met. This is a great country. It's one of the reasons why I want to preserve it and get these lying sons of what's out of office. But it's very difficult for the American people to understand what's happening in the rest of the world and have a clear mental picture of how chaotic it really is in other parts around the globe, like the Middle East, which is in a constant barrage of drone strikes. Just picture yourself, you drop off your kid at school and he's having a good day today, just did like a painting for his teacher, and you drop him off, oh honey, great to see ya, and then immediately a drone comes in and just blows up the whole thing to smithereens. It happens every single day, and that's just a part of, I guess, what Obama would call freedom fighting. That's the freedom agenda, more like a lie and more like the propaganda pitch. So really is incredible. And what we have is global superpowers. But here's the difference now. The United States ain't the top dog on the block. It isn't the biggest dick out there anymore. We're actually kind of the little one in the steam room. That's the United States. So, China, Russia, the emerging rest of the world, these people are stronger, fiscally more responsible. They're not sitting on $17 trillion worth of bailouts. Europe is. Good parts of Europe are. But, the East, the fighting dragon of China and these parts of the world, they're ready to go for the jugular of America. And keep in mind, most of the world hates us here because we've been raping and pillaging foreign lands pretty much since we came into existence. It's like finding America. We kind of came here, and it's like, we come over here, and it's like, oh, we discovered it. Christopher Columbus, like, oh, I'm special. I discovered America, while there's like all these Native Americans living here before us. And then, we go in, we spread disease, and we kind of massacre all of them and, get our way. Those that are more powerful, those that have the most power, that are the biggest dick on the block, which is clearly not the United States anymore, win. And that's kind of how life works. And because we've grossly mismanaged our financial situation, because we've grossly mismanaged the country at large, and we've become this political bullshit fiesta of mismatched jargon and Democrat, Republicans constantly fighting within this paradigm that doesn't even work, thinking that you still have a choice or that you still actually have an influence in politics, keeps us busy, keeps us, again, from keeping our eye on the ball here. So, what this is and what this is really revolving around isn't what is always the most obvious. People want to point, yeah, there's oil, and that's one of the reasons. Yes, Iran is the third largest exporter in the world, one of the largest oil producers in the world. Of course, there's a pure, profit motive to be there. But in addition to that, this has everything to do about the economic collapse here in the United States, which has been orchestrated and engineered, taken from the guy that was on Wall Street from the very beginning. So this is about, honestly, all bets are off. We have no other options left. And you better hope to God the United States wins, which, quite frankly, again, I said, we're not the biggest in the steam room anymore. Probably ain't going to happen. So what you have is, places like Russia and China and these other countries really chomping on the bit to destroy us. And what's fantastic about it is the liberal agenda is really gearing up to, steal all of our guns. What will be great is that when North Korea actually invades the United States and begins to take over our local, provinces, states, school systems, etc., and they just, break into your home and, kill your wife and children, you will be disarmed at that point. And you'll have Obama to thank because you won't have any weapons left. It's funny, I'll get into these little debates with, friends, and I'm open to all kinds of opinions. You can have whatever opinion, you can be a liberal, I don't care. I have a lot of friends that are liberals that we disagree on everything pretty much, but I'll still engage them in conversation. I've had arguments where, liberals will say, well, we shouldn't have guns, but maybe we put it in a special little stash somewhere, in case we need it. Because when I mention the invasion thing, it does register with them. They're like, well, because these people trust their government. They actually think Obama would, be there if they needed him. Like if they were diagnosed with cancer, Obama's going to take an immediate plane flight in the presidential airplane, come down and, be at his bedside or something, which we know is not going to be the case. But I bring up the invasion thing. It tends to scare the shit out of people. But I always think that's funny. Yeah, so we're just going to put the guns in this, secret area that we can't really get to, controlled by the government, and trust that we'll be allowed to get there, let's say, post-EMP, which would be a great way to invade. If you were North Korea, why not, why not engineer, the collapse of the grid? We don't even need nuclear or thermonuclear warfare anymore. Just take down the grid system here, play a little Google shenanigans, and, the system goes down, and then you pounce. Then you take advantage. You got the camera going everywhere here, and then you really go after it. So, these things all part kind of the reality. Of course, the United States does this every day. I mean, we're overseas constantly invading other people's homes. You probably remember the Army Sergeant Bales. He was out in Iraq, I believe. I believe it was Iraq, not Afghanistan, but double check that for me if I'm wrong. But, he went out, he was drinking on base and just kind of went to the local village, began massacring the local civilians in the village, killed a dozen or so of them, mostly women and children, then stacked their bodies up in a teepee, kind of like a teepee-like thing that he had constructed, throw some more gasoline on it, and then just lit the match. So, I mean, it being totally propagated overseas all the time, but we only hear about the war crimes that they want to tell us about. We don't see Obama on TV going like, unbelievable what Sergeant Bales was doing. We've got to take full responsibility for it. No, you don't. But what he does come on TV for is to let you know that Trayvon Martin, really the kid that, to me, everything I've learned about him, he seemed like kind of a cruddy kid, stealing things from people, and didn't have a good track record at school, constantly expelled. But we kind of get the images of the Skittles and iced tea. In fact, I'm drinking a little iced tea here right now. They're only going to pitch and fabricate what they want you to hear, which is why you got to put your little detective cap on, America. Put that little detective cap on. You got to, get your magnifying glass out and, do your detective work. So, my intent isn't to be patronizing with you at all. It's really just frustrating from the perspective of, the truth seeker, which I know, again, preaching to the choir, most of you out there watching it, and hey, maybe some of you just interested in kind of the conversation and the dialogue today. I'm happy to have you. So we got several hundred of you in the room here. We keep lighting up, and comment section box seems to be running. I still haven't found a good way to really access and kind of do the back and forth dialogue on the comment section. So again, if you know how to do that, send us an email at info@amtvmedia.com. We were able to do it a few weeks ago, and then they kind of switched the system on me, causing some problems. More rhetoric, more information regarding Syria. Of course, we've heard a lot about the no-fly zone, the U.S. ready to implement, that, which is another act of war. Russia pulling, pretty much pulling everybody in Syria out. That was another story. So keep your eye on the ball. I mean, to me, from a significant standpoint, were the Snowden, is the Snowden story a big deal? Is what's happening and the information that's being leaked by the NSA, et cetera, is that a big deal? Absolutely. I mean, these are major stories we've been investigating for years. It's just now people are kind of admitting it's taking place. But the real story, what really should be having an impact, and we're trying to do our best to cover, is what's happening in Syria, the propaganda that's being fed, how, again, this has been a clear part of the agenda from day one. Syria is the gateway to Iran. Obama fully intends war with Iran. How that ensues, does that necessarily mean that, tomorrow we're going to wake up and it's like, Obama is, lighting up Iran? That's possible. He could light up Syria or any of these places overnight. That's certainly possible. But is that really how this new world order paradigm is going to position things? The real movers and shakers? No, I don't really think so. I think we get pulled in like we get pulled into everything. Just like the liberals tell me Obama had no other choice, Chris, but to do the bailouts. He had no choice because Bush left him all the problems. So he was just trying to keep the country together. Otherwise, it would have collapsed. Well, the same thing with war. It's going to be, all these civilian casualties and deaths, and, there was a bomb that went off, and, we were attacked here, or we have another September 11th. So, yeah, it's justified. Or they'll just tell you an outright lie like Bush and like the sarin gas story. It's amazing that Americans will be that susceptible to buy in to the bullshit immediately. It's like, okay, Bush just lied to you not too long ago. Total scumbag. Total lie, goes over to Iraq, has young American men and women die over there, not to mention the civilians, the Iraqi civilians and others. Now we have Obama, who I think is pretty clear is doing the same thing, has propagated the lie times infinity, pitching the idea that chemical warfare is being used on Bashar al-Assad's people as justification for more war, more death, more killing. I've lost track. How many wars, honestly, can we be engaging at one time? I remember a president, Mr. Obama. Maybe he doesn't deserve to be called president or Mr., but Obama. Obama a few years ago, 2007, said things that he would not continue the program of surveillance, wiretapping, journalists, Americans. He said that's not how we do things. I'm paraphrasing. I got a clip here somewhere in the archives I've played before, and then goes out and does the exact same thing. Says we're going to get out of Iraq, doesn't. Waits until he is prepped for his next presidential cycle, so for his reelection. Then he, craftily, decides to pull out, and, liberals are like, yay, yay, good job, you pulled out last minute so you could get reelected. Great. Now he's, re-engaging, places like Syria. And of course, he's been in Libya, which just goes over the heads of people like, Libya, who cares? Who cares about Muammar Gaddafi? And, doesn't matter what Obama wants to do. He's just president. He's just doing his job. So, to me, honestly, dirty, dirty, dirty. Hillary Clinton and the Clintonista clan, obviously in the news. Bill Clinton, was out yesterday, really bringing it. Yes, Bill, very charismatic guy. People love him. He's an awesome liar. I mean, he can lie straight to your face and sell ice to an Eskimo, honey to a honeybee. He'd probably be fun to hang out with, but a total psychopathic scumbag is what he is. Too busy shoving, cigars at Monica Lewinsky's snatch to really give two, cracks about you or me or anybody else. But he was out yesterday basically talking about how, he's really he's standing behind the Supreme Court SCOTUS, if that's what we call it, decision, regarding equal rights, and all things I think are fantastic. I mean, I'm for freedom, equal rights on every single level. And part of that means that even things that maybe I don't understand or agree with or even care about, quite frankly, it's none of my business. But he comes out, and back to Bill Clinton specifically, but he comes out in, support of this decision. Very, very much rallying, as much gay support as he can. Not because he gives a shit if you're gay or not, but because you're actually a part of a political party now, if you are gay and you're watching, that has influence. So they just want your vote. Again, these people are like a bunch of dancing bears jumping through hoops of fire. I mean, they'll entertain you, they'll sing, song, and dance, do anything that they need to maintain their dominance. To maintain their political power, to get your vote, and also kind of to distract you. So, again, Bill Clinton actually voted. He actually helped to propagate basically the unequalization of gay rights throughout most of his presidency, voted for against the things now that he says we should be doing. So, total flip-flopper, total liar, total scumbag. Obviously committed a felony in front of your faces when he was president of the United States, saying he did not have sexual relationship with that woman. Total lie, felony. Should be in federal pound me in the ass prison, bent over, by Ben Bernanke or somebody like that. Or who was the other financial criminal that's in there? The only one, because there's only been one financial criminal that's gone to jail. Madoff. So he's the only guy in jail, although what he's done is small beans compared to the John Corzines of the world and the other gross atrocities perpetrated by the Jamie Dimons of Chase and the Ken Lewises of Bank of America, all of which that have sailed off into the sunset. They're off philandering. Who knows where they are? It's all been said and done. Corzine, of course, having stolen billions of dollars from client accounts, huge supporter of Obama, had a massive re-election party for him, pads the pockets of, Mr. Barack and his wife and family and constituency. So, hey, when you're powerful enough, you get away with murder. Really, though, you do. Just like Vladimir Putin, showing his power, taking off the Super Bowl ring of Robert Kraft, like, hey, I could kill somebody with this, and he's actually serious because he can't. Same thing with our president here. They sell you the idea and the illusion that you have freedom of press, freedom of speech, you've got rights, all these kinds of things, until you exercise them, and until you try to actually do something about it. Then, you know, it's terrorism. Then it's a domestic lone wolf out to destroy America. When the founding fathers in this country set up America and set up the structure here because they feared totalitarianism. They feared total aggregated control at the upper echelon of our society run by, you know, a single head honcho or a few of them, which is what we have today. Which is why they've come after the guns, because again, you don't want a heavily armed population when you're ruling as a dictator. You know, you do not want that. So immediately, you know, you're going to go disarm the groundlings, which is exactly what the big push has been. So honestly, I look at the presidency of Obama. It couldn't have be any more worse. It's almost kind of a joke, honestly. I mean, I'm interested to see the books that he writes almost. I mean, not interested to see what he says, but just I'm really interested to see how history interprets this guy. What's the perspective going to be in post-apocalyptic America? Like, I wonder if it'll still be oh yeah, he was a great president. Yeah, he really helped unify the people and first black guy ever to be in charge. Oh yeah, wonderful. So keep on your tippy toes, America. Another major story, and I covered a shitload of videos earlier today. I've got about 4 rolling out as long as we can get these cut in time. Double murder cover-up is the main headline in Drudge, and I did a story here on the NFL player. His name Aaron Hernandez. He was a Pro Bowler. You've probably seen the images of him. He's got the tattoos all, you know, on the arms. For some reason, the mainstream media is always taking a picture of him with his shirt off. I don't know. Maybe it's for the ladies. I'm not really too sure. It says, former New England Patriots player Aaron Hernandez, already facing charges in a murder last week in North Attleboro, is also being investigated in connection with the July 2012 double murder in Boston, according to 2 law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation. Investigators believe a fight broke out at Cure, a club in the South End, between 2 men and a group that included Hernandez. The 2 men, Daniel and Safiro, friends who grew up in Cape Verde, left the club with 3 other men in a BMW sedan in the early morning hours, July 16, 2012. The men that were with him survived the attack and the killings were left unsolved, et cetera, et cetera. So the motive might have been that the victim knew Hernandez, might have been involved. One of the officials. So this is actually a new breaking report, because I actually hadn't read this earlier this morning. It says 2 officials who asked for anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the investigation said investigators now believe that Odin Lloyd, the man Hernandez is charged with killing, is in North Attleboro Industrial Park June 17th, may have had information about Hernandez's role in the double slaying. So this looks like, I mean, this is breaking. I haven't even seen this yet. A potential double murder cover-up. It appears to be, in addition to the victim Hernandez is accused of murdering, and the reason he was arrested the other day. Hernandez pleaded not guilty Wednesday to murder and firearms charges at the district court. Lloyd, who was shot to death. It says a second man connected to the Lloyd murder was identified. So this story is developing. And we'll be covering this. It's just amazing to me. It kind of harkens me back to, you know, the O.J. Simpson trial. You know, images of the white Bronco fleeing the police. Innocent, obviously, because isn't that what you do when you're innocent? You know, charge 100 miles per hour on the freeway, avoiding the police. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. You know, him putting the glove on, like, oh, look, it don't fit. And, of course, you know, it's blown out of proportion as a race issue, which is pretty much the reason he was acquitted. Kim Kardashian's, yeah, she has a lot to thank for it. I mean, she wouldn't even be as famous as she is today if her father hadn't acquitted what I believe to be a, you know, legitimate murderer, when in, you know, murdered his ex-wife and or ex-girlfriend and, you know, the other fellow brutally. So yeah, you know, the Kardashian clan, a lot to thank for that. But, you know, turned into a, you know, this race thing. Same thing with Trayvon Martin. Same thing with George Zimmerman. Everybody wants to convict everybody before they get a trial. I mean, you're guilty in this country now. It's not innocent until proven guilty. It's just guilty. It's not even guilty until proven innocent. You're just guilty now. You know, different set of rules for the lowly groundling, you know, earthy, dirty. They don't even really consider you human beings. You're just kind of like these just smorgasbord of dirt. to the bourgeoisie in this country. Like, yeah, I wonder what the poor people are doing today, Bob. So absolutely unbelievable. I'll certainly be keeping you up to date on all those stories. And also we had, just kind of a total character assassination of Paula Deen. I talked about her yesterday, and she breaks down on the Today Show during his interview. And of course, I don't endorse, the use of the N-word, any kind of racism or anything like that against blacks, whites. I don't care if you're green, polka dotted, gay, straight, transgender. I mean, I'm for freedom 110% all day long. And I think it's terrible if she really was operating a work environment that was hostile to other people. But, it just goes to show you, though, because Paula Deen actually admits it. She apologizes. The apology to me is sincere, shows herself as a human being. Human beings, of course, make mistakes. And now she's doing everything in her power to fess up to it and to fix it. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's just pure, profit motive because she's losing her sponsorships. She's worth an estimated $15 to $20 million, somewhere in that range. I think I read 18 yesterday. She's lost her show. People are leaving her, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, I don't really get that feeling from what I've seen from her and just kind of the person that she is. But it's so telling. It's so telling because you have guys like President Barack Obama that tell you in 2007, look, I'm not going to wiretap you. I'm not going to continue the Bush-era policies. I'm not going to screw you over. I'm for freedom, blah, 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 blah. And then he does the exact opposite. Now, that is scumbaggery on a whole different level. That is unbelievable. That is insane. And then you have, people like Eric Holder, along with Obama, orchestrating Fast and Furious. We have a young man out here killed at the border of Arizona. These guys lie directly to your faces. They don't admit mistakes. They don't try to fix things. They don't have a conscience. They're not even human beings, these people. They really aren't. These people probably sit in a room with voodoo dolls late at night, impale themselves up the butt with something, light it on fire, drink other people's blood with some kind of satanic, Masonic ritual of some kind. I swear to God, these people have no human qualities left in them. It's just all about, top of the pyramid, more money, more problems, baby, I don't know. It's just really unbelievable to me. The society that we've built totally lacks morals, lacks gratitude, lacks any sense of just being a humble, normal person and that understands that we're human, that we make mistakes, and that, the best thing to do when you make a mistake is just to admit it, fess up to it, and try to fix it. That's what makes a man. That's what makes a woman. Those are things that I've seen Paula Deen actually do, and I'm not vetting her particularly because I don't really know her, but honestly, it's very sad that her character will be destroyed. It'll be a total frontal assault to assassinate Paula Deen, at least from an image standpoint, destroy her career. And we let the worst scumbags in the world, we reward them. These guys like Jamie Dimon and John Thane of Merrill Lynch, et cetera, that helped rape America, and John Corzine, who literally just takes money out of your client accounts, just steals shit because he's running a massive derivative Ponzi scheme, and he gets in too much hot water because, the $14 billion he has in his bank account isn't enough. He needs 20. Because the Learjet that he has isn't cool enough. He needs a bigger one, and he needs, a bigger diamond-studded toilet or something like that, so he can only touch his butt on diamond-encrusted toilet seats. That was the reason for running the Ponzi scheme. Something as ludicrous and crazy as that, as most of America literally has no savings, doesn't even have a job still, basically trying to put food in their mouths for day-to-day survival, and these guys rewarded in bed directly with this kind of thing, with President himself. Absolutely insane. I find it crazy. A little loopy. It's kind of like you're eating your bowl of Fruit Loops laced with heroin. And that's kind of the feeling you get. So I want to welcome everybody to the live show. Having a really good time with it. And again, we're getting set up here in studio as makeshift as possible, on a budget as possible. Very excited to be here, working on a control side, kind of a control room where, I have a vision for this really cool place and setting to set everything up. And then really thinking about too, just setting more of a regular schedule, which I know we all want. I want around broadcasting, in addition to the vlogs that we're hitting every single day, up front, close, and personal. I want to just continue to thank all of you for the tremendous support. And thanks for giving me personally, everybody that works with us, and our staff, and just the ability to do what we do, and get the truth out there. Really is an absolutely incredible experience. So we'll keep you posted with all that. I'm Christopher Green, as usual, hard-hitting in your face. Get this video out. This is live, baby. AMTV Live, June 27, 2013. We'll have an archive immediately going up. Stay tuned for some breaking videos. Hard-hitting in your face. I'm out. Peace.